Alright, hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another SteamOS video. Yeah, it doesn't look like it, but trust me, this is going to be a Steam related video. Now, this is officially the second handheld to ever exist with SteamOS, officially supported by Valve. Now, this is the GPD Win 4, the 2025 edition. It has just been announced by GPD, and it's basically a small form factor handheld that will officially support SteamOS with integration provided by Valve. Now, this handheld has existed for, I think, over a year now, and they released a couple of variants in 2024, and it really basically, it looks like a PSP with a sliding up screen that reveals a keyboard, and it is a bit larger than a PSP, so in terms of dimensions of the width, it is a little bit bigger than the PSP, and it's a lot thicker than the PSP, but nevertheless, it is at the same time smaller than the Steam Deck. Now, we have had some news in the past month that Valve is preparing to launch SteamOS outside of the Steam Deck, and they want to basically distribute the OS so everybody can use it. And this will be one of the first and one of the many, not the only one, hardware that is not been designed by Valve but will use SteamOS and with support provided by Valve directly. So let's take a look at what we know about it. There's a very extensive web page that you can check out. It is the latest AMD APU, which is the Ryzen AI 9 HX370. It will feature 32 gigabytes of RAM, and it's basically a 6-inch screen that is either 40 Hz or 60 Hz. You can go down to 40 Hz. It is going to be 1080p, which is a bit weird for a screen in such small size. They could have gone with a lower resolution to achieve better performance, but I suppose it's not really needed with this type of processor. The big caveat here is that this is an LCD and it only goes up to 60 Hz. So that's going to be a bit of a drawback. It's probably going to be a turnoff for some people. It does come in two variants. One of the variants is the newest Ryzen AI 9, while you can also get it with the Ryzen 7 8840U, and that will also support 32 gigabytes of RAM. Now, the standout feature of this handheld is obviously the keyboard here. There are a ton of reviews of the GPD Win 4, the 2024 version, where you can check it out on YouTube, and you can see people talking about if this keyboard is actually any functional. On first glance, it doesn't look like you will get much use out of it, just because it's a bit wide, so maybe trying to press all the buttons or use it as a keyboard is not going to feel natural. You can really mainly use it for typing. I don't really see somebody using the keyboard as a gaming keyboard, like pressing WASD, just because it's not really natural to hold the device and use the keyboard in that way. But you can check out, there's a lot of reviews of people talking about the keyboard. Now, the other very interesting thing about this handheld is that it has an Oculink port. So the Oculink port basically allows you to hook up an external graphics card to the device, and in this case they're actually selling their own dock, where you can just hook it up to the dock, and in the dock they're gonna sell their proprietary graphics card. I'm pretty sure you can use it with something else, not with their dock as well, but don't quote me on that. You need to double check if that's true. But with their dock, you can get this to the equivalent of a 3070, but it can significantly boost the power of the device, which is a very small use case. Usually you would want to get this device to use it in a handheld mode, because of its very small form factor. But if you did want to, you can turn this into a full-fledged gaming PC or the equivalent of a gaming laptop. So yeah, the actual dock, we have some specs for it. It is using an RDNA 3 architecture, 8 gigabytes of video memory, and of course it will allow you to get higher refresh rate. Now, speaking of refresh rate, this is something that I found weird, because they have included some benchmarks that they've done here, and this benchmark was basically done using this dock, because they mentioned 1080p 120 FPS on AAA titles, but the actual screen doesn't go above 60 FPS. So if you take a look at these benchmarks, just take them with a grain of salt, because they weren't specifically done on the actual device. It only goes up to 60 Hz, but the benchmarks are really impressive. It is really cool to see that these handheld PCs and these small form factor chips are getting so powerful, which it is just good news for the Steam Deck 2 and for further handheld devices coming out this year or next year. They're just going to get more and more powerful while still keeping this small form factor and while still being very efficient power-wise. And speaking of efficiency, the GPD Win for 2025 will feature a 45 watt-hour battery, which is just a little bit over the 40 watt-hour battery of the LCD Steam Deck. Now, in terms of actual battery life, what this means, we don't know yet, or at least I don't know yet. Maybe we have to check if there are any other devices that feature this, specifically AI9 HX370 chip, and then we can compare battery life using that. But something else that is really cool that they're talking about is their TDP tool. So it's called Motion Assistant, and you will be able to tune the TDP in 1 watt increments. So you can go really low in watts. I'm not sure what's the lowest that you can go in watts, but it will allow you to do a lot more than that. You can check out the GPU frequency. I suppose you can change the display refresh rate or the display resolution, as we can see from this screenshot right here. And they say that it will provide a more refined experience than SteamOS. So I'm not sure what that means specifically, but it is something that will be available on the actual device. So it's not going to be available only on Windows or something like that. You will be able to use it even with SteamOS. That's how I understand it. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of tinkering that you can do with the device, which is pretty good. Now, the device has been marketed as a really good device for emulation as well, which is of course something that you can do because this is essentially a PC and you can mod it in any way you want. Even with SteamOS or with Windows, you can dual boot, so you can do whatever you want. Now, they're also selling a new dock here, which is separate from the PCIe graphics card extension. So it's actually just a dock where you can plug it in and sit it in front of you, just like the Steam Deck dock. And it's actually pretty comparable to the official Steam Deck dock. It features 3 USB ports, a Ethernet port, an RJ45 Ethernet port, Type-C for charging, and HDMI out. So it only features HDMI out, doesn't feature DisplayPort. But the HDMI is 2.0, which can provide up to 4K 60 Hz. In terms of size, they have included a very interesting Mario picture here of what it looks like compared to the Steam Deck. Now it has the form factor of a PSP, and it has the PSP signature lanyard hook right down here. But it is actually a little bit bigger than the original Vita. And it is a lot thicker, so in the back it will be a lot thicker. You can try to compare it using this Type-C port. You can check out reviews of people online reviewing the 2024 version. So it is a very thick boy, but nevertheless it is the smallest handheld that will officially support SteamOS, at least right now. So you're probably wondering what the price is going to be, and currently they have it on their Indiegogo page. And you are able to choose different variants. So currently you can get the AI9 HX370 with the 32 gigabytes of RAM and the 2 terabyte SSD for close to $1,200 USD. So yeah, that is a bit of a steep price. GPD are not known for manufacturing a lot of units, so they're not really a giant manufacturer and they cannot really afford to bring the price down. So it is quite an expensive handheld, but for what it provides, I think some people will find the price really appealing specifically in terms of the form factor. Currently half of them have already been claimed, so if you want to get it, you have to do it now. They will for sure produce more units, but so far you can get it at this price. It's probably going to go up in price. You can also buy the dock, which is $600 USD. So the graphics card dock already features a graphics card inside, and it's their proprietary dock. You cannot really change the graphics card inside, and it is a bit pricey. I think this has been something that has been available since last year. It's not exclusively new to this device, but you can pair it with this device for some better performance. So yeah, that's pretty much it for this device. It will be, as I said, officially the second device to support SteamOS outside of the Steam Deck, and I do believe that this year we'll see a lot more devices coming out with SteamOS. There is talks about the new Lenovo Legion S also supporting SteamOS, so it is pretty cool to see that other manufacturers are adopting SteamOS, and it's awesome to see that Valve are releasing SteamOS to other people to use it, and they're trying to popularize it as an alternative to Windows, and SteamOS, as we know, gets really good more and more every year. And at its current state, it is really good alternative for a gaming OS to Windows 10, especially for handheld devices. So that's gonna be it for the video. Let me know, guys, if you are planning to purchase the GPD Win for 2025. I know it is a bit expensive, but I still think it's a pretty cool device. In terms of review, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to afford it, but if I do somehow manage to get it, I will definitely make a review on it. Thanks for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.